Back to the main subject, I put out a video recently regarding male self-deletion, and I appreciated the many good responses that I got from it. And there's a little one here coming from a channel that I appreciate quite a bit. I wouldn't necessarily call him a fitness influencer, although some may see him that way, but he is pretty down to earth in comparison to a bunch of others out there. He's called James Smith. You may have heard of him before. A cool bloke, but there's a video from him that I wanted to check out as we start the stream. So let's give him a look.
I bet you don't even realize the impact that social media has on your perception of the world and how you see it on a daily basis. From what we eat, how we see our bodies, our sex lives, unreal expectations, and even the chances of being bitten by a shark in the sea next time you visit Australia. According to social media, Hasbulla and I are secretly best friends. I'm going to explain the 6 biggest issues that I see when it comes to social media and some of the things that we can do proactively to stop them ruining our lives. Number 1, orthorexia. Although this has been going on for many years,
quick pause. Enter Historian has a disclaimer at the beginning of the video, basically just saying that to wait 48 before uploading reactions. Yes, I always do. Orthorexia was the point that he brought up here. It is the constant desire to eat well.
2023 saw Liver King explode to socials. He was claiming natty status, and his principles were the 9 ancestral tenets, which I'm sure had good meaning, but it turned out the Liver King, Brian Johnson, was a lying piece of shit. Behind his multi-million-dollar empire based on improving lives with supplementation regimes was excessive steroid and growth hormone use, which actually borderlines more of abuse. In a bid to grow his business to the largest possible heights, he had to deceive millions of people to get there. 2024 saw a brand new meme page. Eddie Abu. Like Liver King, people...
It is weird to me how we have this fad that we have often talked about with women, but we tend to ignore it when it comes to us guys. The whole of, oh, this is what you're supposed to be consuming all the time. Because that's what orthorexia is. The constant consumption of what is supposed to be healthy, but it never truly is, because this is coming from some people who are peddling nonsense. This guy, for one, was a massive steroid abuser. The stuff destroyed his muscles, gave him a bunch of injuries, and now he's on some sort of crusade against even basic supplementation like whey protein. He says that he's like the devil's work or something. It's so strange. Have I played Helldivers? Yes, I have, but only for a little bit. My life has unfortunately been consumed by what I could have mustered to do with Dragon's Dogma. So that will come first.
Flock to something that must be novel, that must be superior to just exercising more and having a more balanced diet. The more crazy, the more insane the character is, the more we just cannot resist flocking to that rather than just sensible advice that's backed by science. And in the space of a year, we went from eating testicles and living primal to labeling the majority of foods as shit and abolishing anything that isn't meat and eggs as being terrible for your health. You may even recall that Eddie Abu recently said that if you're depressed, it's because of your diet. So if you're out there on antidepressants and you're thinking about ending it all, just eat meat and eggs. According to Eddie, depression is all diet-based. Not only that, you'll also recall that last week, Eddie made a point that you shouldn't be tired in your 20s. So for any of you NHS workers that are doing night shifts and doing 18-hour days, just eat better, you idiots. Thanks, Eddie. Carnivores have actually been doing this for years. Eddie's found a knack of doing it in a more viral way. Eddie comes from a background of extreme drug abuse as a very high-end bodybuilder, and I'll tip my hat to Eddie. And even though he was taking grams of gear a week and probably shortened his life by decades, he was good at that. But someone that bodybuilds to that level and gets in them skimpy underwear to tense on stage to impress another bunch of blokes, they crave some sort of attention. Yeah. So you must ask yourself, are these values that Eddie, purports true to his beliefs, or like Liver King, is this a ploy to grow his financial position to the best position possible?
Of course it's financial. Like, there are no... He has no legitimate proof of anything. The same with Liver King when he was asked about his drug abuse, telling people to just trust me, bro. Like, the man looked straight up as if he had ab implants. I stripped in front of you on camera when I was designing my, well, at least I took my shirt off when I was designing my character for Dragon's Dogma. Yes, that was hot. Well, thank you. And you got to see my physique. This is what you achieve for 12 years of training. The way that I look, and I look relatively decent. And that's just by working almost every day working out. I have a 5-day routine that I do in the morning. And mind you, while I keep a relatively good diet, I am not exempt from drinking sodas. Granted, this one is without sugar. And having a piece of chocolate next to me if I'm feeling the cravings. I do that too. Like, I do not understand what this extreme desire of perfectionism, which, by the way, you cannot attain those things, but this crazy thing that they're peddling is coming from. It makes no sense. Also, additionally to this man's point there with the whey protein, I do believe that he said, do your own research when he was asked for proof of whether or not whey protein was so bad for people.
Possible, because it's estimated that Eddie's making over £50,000 a month educating people in subjects that are not backed by science. He even insists that the insulin hypothesis, which has been debunked a lot, numerous times, with a plethora of studies, that insulin is the driver of weight gain, and if you want to lose weight, you need to control your insulin, not your calories. He debunks energy balance. He actually disputes that calories are not even a thing. Eddie...
Okay, this man has to go. Calories are not a thing. And focuses on insulin. Nah. This man has to go. Absolutely not. What a psycho. Do I drink coffee? Yes, I actually drink. Matter of fact, I had a extreme high coffee consumption back in university. My first 3 university years was terrible. If we have any Dane in the chat, you will know of the Danish Technical University, or University of Technology of Denmark. In there, at its main hall, it is divided like a coordinate system. The main hall of that place has a cafeteria where you can have a refill of, let's say that this is my coffee can. Usually, I would have a much larger one, but for the equivalent of $1, you can fill that up with coffee. Imagine the drive that people, students, had in that university. People will sober up after a night of drinking by just going to that cafeteria over and over again and fueling themselves up with coffee. It was so unhealthy. So yeah, I drank coffee, and I've started actually, I don't know, like going through some sort of detox from consuming caffeine. So a monster can like this can actually knock me out, because first, I have narcolepsy, gotta point that out again. So when the downward spiral of consuming the coffee, the highs of it, wears off, that's when it actually feels bad. And also, it gives me the runs. So I think that I'm on a good level right now when it comes to the caffeine consumption. Drugs are bad, stop coffee. I mean, everything in moderation is the best way to do it.
He goes head to head with thermodynamics, and there are millions of people that back him, because they're idiots. Now, I get that Eddie's message is backed by well-meaning, but so is Liver King's. And I'm sure that thousands of lives, maybe even millions of lives, are better off with his content. They're probably eating better. They're probably having less ultra-processed foods, which has always been the main principle of what I preach: to improve your diet, exercise more, and lose fat. My biggest gripe with Eddie is this. He seems to say that diet is everything. But I would say there are 3 tiers that we need to prioritize when it comes to improving our health: cardiovascular fitness, the amount of fat we have, the quality of our diet. Whereas Eddie just focuses on one. Sometimes when working with obese populations, getting them to change their diet is actually the hardest part. So getting them to reduce the amount of calories coming in, which can be done with a poor diet, will cause them to lose fat, which actually benefits their health. Also, we can improve their cardiovascular fitness.
Yep.
So there are 2 out of 3 means that we can improve someone's objective health markers without improving their diet. That's not to say I don't want to improve their diet, but we need to be nuanced and see what we can do with that client.
Think about an extremely obese person. You, for example, cannot reduce their diet down to a level that is going to be too drastic for them. So you have to work on the cardiovascular system. And if we're talking about an actually massive person, how are you going to get them running? And doing that without damaging their joint, the thing that is supporting their entire weight. You need to have the heart do some work, either through lifting weight or doing body weight exercises to a certain level. But they should still be consuming a decent amount of calorie from quality food to at least get them used to consuming something else but the junk. There's not a single solution for just staying healthy. Just like myself, I like to bike because I've gotten to a certain weight where it actually aches my joints if I decide to go for more than, let's say, a 30-minute run. So I have to bike instead. But if I shrink down to and start doing a lot more cardio, sure, I could do the other. But I still need that because I want to feel well. I want to be able to move. I don't want to feel tired from just jogging.
Because everyone can eat healthy for 2 weeks and they go back to their old habits. Am I right? Now, I know a lot of you are going to be in Eddie's defense, probably in the comments going, yeah, we know that Eddie can't really read or assess research papers or understand literature, but he's trying to save lives. He's doing this with people's best interests at heart, and I completely agree. But if we are to stray away from objective truths in a bid to save lives, where does this end? Because if you support that notion, then that's just a bit like agreeing with what the governments did in the pandemic when they claimed vaccines were a lot more safe than they actually were because it was in a bid to save lives. If you can be dishonest, as long as people's best interests are at heart, where does that stop? You then open a door to a place that we don't want to go. So many of you are up in arms that the government lied to us in one hand whilst trying to protect us with the other. Yet when their favorite influencer goes into supermarkets and just makes stuff up, that's completely fine. Eddie's content actually used to be super reasonable. He's now a product of the people egging him on, pardon the pun. Here's a video of Eddie.
Mind you, him saying that does not mean that vaccines do not work. Okay, some people are gonna listen to that and misinterpreting what he just said.
There's a video of Eddie back in the day where he's a lot more sensible.
Now when you got something like lentils, it's like getting protein out of bread. It's just pointless.
Oh, I see.
His stances on things are a lot less polarizing, and he's a lot actually closer to an evidence-based standpoint on nutrition. But unfortunately, that doesn't bang millions of views. The further you go from the objective truth, the easier it is to get people as part of your cult, and therefore make lots of money from it. Look at the Mormons or Scientology. Pretty sure they make more money than Christianity, and their story is whack.
Well, except for these pastors who peddle cryptocurrency, they make a lot of money from the church participants.
Charges are that Caitlin and I pocketed $1.3 million, and I just want to come out and say that those charges are true. So there's been $1.3 million that's been taken out of, I think it was a total of $3.4 million. But out of that 1.3, $500,000 went to the IRS, and a few $100,000 went to a home remodel that the Lord told us to do.
But also, a small, simple thing. How often do you think, well, at least how popular do you think that a fitness influencer would be if they truly showed you like the actual effective workout that they went through? Because I swear to God, it is the most boring thing that you can imagine. I can show you my routine real quick. This is like pretty standard stuff that I've done like for the last, let's say, 12 years. For 5 days a week, each day with a different muscle group. Exercises are done from 15 to 20 reps for about 4 or 5 sets, depending on the mood sometimes. Usually it's 5, but yeah, whatever. 60 to 90 seconds rest in between, where the ones that are marked in black and blue are sets of 50 reps, and everything else that is in red are supersets, i.e. exercises that are done back to back. So for example, day 1, right? I do wide pull-ups for like 50 reps. I do 50 reps of that with alternating grips. So I go and do some seated cable rows, one-arm cable rows, bend over rows, hyperextension, so on and so forth. Move on. The same thing with chest day. And later on, the same thing with leg day. And later on for shoulders. On Thursday and Friday, I actually train arms if I am willing to train arms. I hate training arms. I have naturally big arms from my mom, so I usually don't like to train them. The point is that this is what I've been doing for 12 fucking years, except for the times when like bodybuilder friends, CrossFitter friends, or calisthenic friends invite me over to train. That's where there's an exception to the rule. But it's so basic. Imagine them, an influencer, having to show you the same thing over and over and over again with just different outfits. You wouldn't want to look at that because it's boring. It's the same shit. So they wouldn't get anything or anywhere from just being repetitive and telling you just how boring it is. It has to be as extravagant as possible because people do not understand that the simple stuff is actually what works. There's no miracle. Goku wants your location.
Which brings me on to number 2, body image issues and the algorithm. Everyone nowadays wants to be a fitness influencer because it pays well and you can work remote from a laptop in Bali. But out of the tens of thousands of people doing it, only the most confident, best looking, best physiqued ones will stop you in your tracks. Your eyes may admire the male or female physiques, then boom, you are done. The algorithm then knows that you want to see more of that. The more younger, the more chiseled. Anyone not in that top 1% shape, you'll swipe past. Before you know, your feed is curated with the best, and the top of the algorithm of these fittest, best looking babes. And every time you go on your phone, you're just flocked and you can't stop looking at them. You try swiping away, but the algorithm knows what you're doing, knows you like the babes. Sharing it into the boys group chat doesn't, what? Imagine if I was to get the top 10,000 business owners, and then I said, hey, let's just go mingle with the top 50 of those. You'd then feel that your own entrepreneurial talent was not even worth pursuing. But in any cohort of humans, if you look at the top 1%, you're gonna feel damn depressed from it. You must realize that every time you go on social media, you are skimming the top percentile of winners. It's not reality, it's not real life. Which brings me on to number 3, dating.
That's
true. Fantastic guy.
That's absolutely true. I've been on the same program for a year and a half and making tracking progress easier, which is ultimately what matters. Exactly. That's what matters. You don't need to do anything extravagant, really. I would recommend alternating things if you actually want to push something for growth. As an example, there are occasional days where I will, for example, during the weekend, I go and train an extra muscle group. For example, my legs. I want to have them grow a bit more. So I started following certain Olympic lifting programs with the 1 rep max. So I go to that extent of pushing forth and it works. But that's because I have a specific goal that is beside just my health.
Guy called Rory Sutherland, who did a podcast with Chris Williamson, and he makes an exceptional point about recruiting, talent, and dating. And here's a clip of Rory Sutherland, by the way. Big credit to Modern Wisdom Podcast too. I know I'm business partner with Chris, but his guests have been exceptional recently.
I don't think a still photograph and a few words of text are in any way a proxy for who you might forge a long-term relationship with.
Rory makes a fantastic point that when you're recruiting, an HR department often won't see anyone who on their CV doesn't have a 2-1 and above, which is a grade at university. And the issue with that is there is a lot of talent out there that just didn't want to go to university or that didn't get a 2-1, myself included. I flunked out in my first year because I just hated it. Doesn't mean I'm not intelligent or I'm not capable. My multiple businesses should be credit to that. Just because I don't want to sit in a room for an hour and a half and recite boring topics of medicine through time and scribble it on bits of paper doesn't mean I'm stupid. So it's kind of ridiculous that people hiring graduates for their first job would overlook the majority of people, not to mention the amount of men going to university is massively dropping. If you only set a 2-1 as a prerequisite for hiring, you're going to leave a lot of talent on the table. And if all recruiters are all looking for the same 2-1 and above, loads of talent doesn't get a look in, the rest of the talent is all being fought over. And we see the same issues with dating. And this again is Rory's point. The same way that just setting a prerequisite for a 2-1 to hire someone for a job makes the same mistake as in dating apps, just using a picture and a bit of text to try and pick someone that's ideal for dating. Rory makes a fantastic point that Cameron Diaz and Jennifer Aniston wouldn't be supermodels. They just don't have the look. But because it's the way they move, it's the way they interact, it's the way they sound, it's seeing them on video that makes you realize their beauty. The same goes for different characters.
I agree, actually. That's a fun point. I don't know, maybe not so much with Jennifer Aniston, but I remember in the first days when I discovered Charlie's Angels, I think we were, with 5 buddies, 2 girls, 3 guys. We had like a movie night of, we were watching like marathoning supposedly bad movies back in our teens. And I think that I was the only one who actually liked the looks of Cameron Diaz. The others were just staring at her, thinking to themselves, why is she portrayed as like the sex symbol amongst the 3 of them, at least the one who was a bit more frivolous and more chased after? And I couldn't quite get it until I showed her picture later on. I remember like a complete coincidence to some other people, and they said the same thing. Like, she is not necessarily the look that you want to have on some people, but it's her mannerisms, the way that she acts. She's just odd enough for people to appreciate and to love, because we have associated her with like that lovable personality that we actually think that she's hot. The same thing for a lot of influencers. There are some that are absolutely banging out there, and what I would consider to be like the ideal look for, personally, okay, my own personal standpoint, I like muscular women. But because of the attitude, I get so revolted by them. It's strange. And like that, it goes both ways. Like a person can be extremely attractive, but personality sets them off completely, and vice versa. A person that is not so good looking can be absolutely nice, and it pushes them all the way up to a 10. At least that's how I see it.
There's different men, different women all over the world. People that look good in photos and people that look good in video are very different. And from my experience with dating, those that look best on the pictures look like a sack of potatoes in real life, and some that look like a sack of potatoes in the pictures turned out to be beautiful in real life. And if we rely on just social media apps, we are like recruiters, we leave a lot of talent on the table. That's why the dating pool is so messed up. Rather than just meeting someone on a night out, having a few drinks and going, yeah, you're fit, we're suddenly screening people with a means that may not flatter them in the best light.
Exactly. And how are you going to learn about somebody's personality without literally having to talk to them? Plastic in the trash, please.
Not to mention at the moment in somewhere like the UK, it's so expensive to go to university that only people going to university now are people that need to get degrees for jobs. Whereas back in the day, you'd go socialise, move away from home for a few years and get your end away on 3 nights a week. So even people at university aren't socialising in the way they were supposed to, because their parents don't want to spend £10,000 a year to send their kid away to uni for them to be getting pissed 3 nights a week. That's what university was back in the day. So not only are we seeing degrading relationships with food, rates of orthorexia going up, not are we only seeing social media making people feel depressed about the fact they don't have a six-pack, we're now seeing people that get depressed because they can't find a decent partner or someone to go on a date with because they're relying wholly on social media apps that are largely flawed to find a partner. It's very important that you're proactive in person, that you find good talent. Which brings me on to number 4, anabolic steroids. Alan Richardson portrays the character in Reacher, and I like Alan Richardson. I think he's a dreamy bloke. I watched the first 2 episodes, and let me tell you this, I could not stop looking at his muscles and his hairline. You seen Jack Reacher? Not seen him? Know who it is?
Oh my God. I don't know how Alan Rickman became the symbol for like men today or whatever. It's weird. And the fact that he says that he is clean, absolute bullshit. The Jack Reacher guy, you have got to be kidding me. Jack, you're a fake natty. Dude, I wish I was. Like, one of the best compliments I ever got was the first day that I went out on my competition. I had no one. I had absolutely no one with me. And by competition, I mean the first day that I competed for bodybuilding. Perhaps I can find it here. And a friend of mine was recording the competition and was just saying that I look better than all the people who were standing next to me. And the fun thing was that I competed as a joke, because I literally did not care about bodybuilding. I just wanted to be stronger in my fitness journey. So this guy was called Zaid, who well, essentially was a pro bodybuilder, went there, and his coach and a whole bunch from his other team were asking him if he was my coach, to which I said, no, obviously not. I'm just there because I had a bet to win. And I just got like a compliment that I was like similar to all the other guys who actually were in gear. So from that day on, I was like, dude, if I can be the way that I am right now, why bother? I competed twice, never did it again. Because that's past that one hurdle, people start asking you that you should get into the sauce. And obviously all of them are. You cannot maintain the physique that they have without juicing. But I love my body and I love my heart a bit too much to engage in those kind of things.
This guy's 40. He's jacked. And he's got a perfect hairline. So I'm like, look, I know you're getting a bit testy.
Perfect hairline.
So how are you keeping that immaculate hairline whilst running tests? How is this fair? He's been an actor for like 10 years. And this guy is top.
By the way, for those who don't understand quite what I said, dihydrotestosterone is the thing that causes male pattern baldness. Well, there's a chromosome that does that. we don't need to get into the details because the biology behind it is a bit complicated, but excess amount of testosterone, dihydrotestosterone, is what causes baldness. So, yeah, actually people who take gear tend to be rather bald quickly. So, yeah, funny enough, I still have my hairline. Never changed.
Percentile genetics. But the second this guy goes on a few hundred milligrams of test a week, boom! Men's Health want him on the front cover. What does that say? That you can be an elite man, look in a great way. The guy's like 6'2", very good looking, immaculate, but stick the guy on a bit of test, Men's Health go, now we are ready to have you to depict what fitness is to the people. Let me get the cover out. That guy. And this is the thing, it says, fit at any age, more muscle, more energy in every decade of your life. Jacked Reacher finally gets huge. You got young dudes looking at this guy as aspiration. You're in the gym slaying it day in, day out, trying to be the best version of yourself. And you've got a living, breathing encapsulation that if you were to just add testosterone to your life and pin yourself forever, your career could take off.
Yikes.
Nice one, Men's Health. As if you weren't plebs before, putting unaspirable physiques. Because you're...
Didn't they have The Rock on there? Like the walking pharmacy. It's about drive, it's about power, it's about how much testosterone I get in... I don't know, I couldn't finish that lyric. Yeah, they're not to be trusted. Just like anything else, they're just gonna sell you an image for somebody that you think is nice, but it's an absolute nutter.
The issue, Men's Health, you literally take the top percentile of what you call men that haven't eaten in a while and you put them on the front cover of your magazine. There are real great men that don't have six packs. There are real men in great bids of health that don't have model physiques. And I just hate what your magazine is about. 6-minute ab routines. Hey, try this exercise. There's no periodization, no education, because if people actually understood the principles, they wouldn't read your shite. Oh,
long term.
Who's currently on cycle? Let's get a picture of him on the front cover. Plebs. Come on, bro. The number 5, the availability bias. And I know I've covered this in a few videos before, but in essence, the information that's available to us makes us paint a reality of the world, not really how it is. For instance, I'm here literally a few hundred meters away from the sea in Australia. Every time I go out and swim, my mind does the same thing as you, going sharks, but I'm way more likely to drown. Bondi Rescue made a whole TV show about people drowning at the beach, not shark attacks. But every time there's a shark attack...
Oh, is he? Wait a minute, was that a Baywatch reference?
That everyone knows about. Every time there's a drowning, no one cares. You can literally walk down to Bondi Beach and watch people walk into the ocean fully clothed with jeans on and get sucked into a rip, because the problem is, I'm British. I can name 5 different species of shark, but I still can't spot the rip, which is where the water goes out, because I can look at the waves. And the thing is, say you're going for a little swim, you're like, oh, nice waves, nice waves. Oh, there's a little gap where there's no waves. Rip, swim in, out your depth, dead. It's the same as the lottery. You spend enough, this is you, mate. Crypto, mate. No one knows a lottery winner, but they see one on TV. So they go, oh my God, I need to do the lottery. And then they don't just give them the money. They get the person to come on TV, give them the massive check. Get out there, look at Trevor. Look at fat Trevor. He won 10 million, this could be you. They throw it in your face to make you feel like it could happen when statistically it really can't. The same as you with your crypto lot. You truly believe that crypto is your way out because you only subscribe to the people that have done well with crypto, because the tens of thousands and millions of people that lost huge amounts of money in crypto remain silent, which paints a reality of the world that isn't true.
Yeah, remember the video from, what's his name? Geopult that we watched on Las Vegas? How they keep on peddling people that have won the lottery, or at least got the big win at the casino over in Vegas. But don't talk about the ones who actually partook in that and are now part of the rat people living in the sewers of Vegas. Yeah, those never get mentioned. It's disgusting. And the thing is, they keep on doing that just for content. What conscience do they have? Why don't they care about the many lives that they are harming when they're doing all this? That's what I think is extra sad. How come a person like that sleep at night? Like an individual like The Rock, like he used to be a charismatic person, loved him on the WWE stage in his early days, but man, he's just become an absolute lunatic. He can't help himself from lying all the time. It is so sad. And like, why do you even have to do that? You have enough wealth to be living a million lifetimes already. Just actually do good and shut your gob when it comes to things that you don't master.
But every time you feel depressed about your stance on crypto, there you go and delve into looking for
Too much taxes. That's fair. That's fair. Today, Frost.
more information to back up your exist so you can feel like crypto is a smart investment. That check they use on TV doesn't even work. They go to the bank and the bank's tell them to piss off. And the only thing worse than social media of how it's messing up how we see the world and everything within it is the current state of misinformation on podcasts. And if you want to understand the downfall of modern podcasts, then you'll have to watch the video I made about it right here.
Oh yeah, I think that I've got to see a clip about that one. Yeah, that is sad. Because they do not care if it's them first. Yeah. Everyone else second. It's a weird rat race. It's not one worth running. Just take care of your health, take care of the people around you. Try to strive for a certain level of happiness that you deem worthy. And that's it. That's all there is to it. Stop chasing anything extravagant that doesn't lead anywhere. If it comes, it comes. Appreciate what you have and live with it. What was that about a rock? Visiting Wendy's for the first time in multiple times. Oh, yeah. That's true. That's true. That's lying sack of shit. I'm sorry that I'm cursing so much at The Rock right now, but my God. Yeah, it's my first time at a Wendy's. And he started acting, oh man, what an idiot. Always a stunt. The same thing with these movies. Remember the Black Adam peddling that he was doing? The promotion work? Like the movie was failing, the numbers were not accurate, but he kept on pushing that, yes, this is what we've been doing. Black Adam is so successful. Like, dude, calm yourself. Just admit that it's going bad. Because you fucking wrote in your contract that you can only be a good guy, or at least you can never lose. You can play anything else but The Rock. Yes, I am indeed a based individual. I'm a carbon-based individual. Unfortunately, though, I should get a carbon base. That would make the joke so much better.